How do you do? Did you hear about Arlen Specter suddenly deciding that he became a Democrat? Became a Democrat. He suddenly became a Democrat, and he makes it sound like it was a big study and it was a matter of principle. And after studying his principles and his conscience, because he's such a man with such a great conscientious concern for decency, honor, and integrity, which represents maybe somebody else that has nothing to do with his personality. This man is a fake, a fraud, and a liar all his life, and his conscience didn't bother him. This had nothing to do with his conscience. It has to do with losing an election. And this conscience couldn't stand the thought of losing an election, which he was about to lose. You know when it happened that he found out he's a Democrat? The day after he took a poll. Until the poll showed that he would lose an election because in the primary he had no chance against another Republican, and he knew he'd be wiped out, he said to himself, I was never a Republican. How was I a Republican? My conscience bothers me. My conscience has been bothering me for a long time, and now it came to a head to such an extent I can't stand it anymore. I can't tolerate it, which means it's a day and a half before the election. If this happens, I'm wiped out, and I'm an 80-year-old man with no place to go. If all of a sudden I do this, what am I going to do for a living? Become a carpenter, a plumber? Who's going to hire me for any job? A man at this age, at 80 years of age, could only be a senator or a political tactician. He could only be in politics. There's no field in the world where you're 80 years old and you could go for a job and get it. You let him walk into a private industry, a private company, and say, hello, I'm looking for a job. How old are you? 80. You think they would say, sure, why not? You know what they would say? Call an ambulance. Get this guy out of his mind and take him into a place where he'll be safe and comfortable, because he might hurt himself here. Don't let him walk around too far because he might pass away. And all of a sudden, you're someplace recuperating. You're not running around with a job. But in politics, since there's nothing to do for a living, you sit around doing nothing, and you just vote once in a while, and if you don't vote, nobody misses it. All you have is a chair, and your whole job is a place to sit. And once you have a place to sit, you're considered a senator. That's all you need. You have to know nothing, accomplish nothing. You can be the biggest fraud in the world, like this man has been all his life. Every single vote he had was always exactly the antithesis of what the Republican Party stands for. He was always all his life voting for abortion when the Republican Party platform, and one of its main principles is right to life. And he never agreed with it. And if you don't agree with it, you have a right not to agree with it. But say you're a Democrat, why are you claiming you're a Republican? He just voted for the stimulus package, one of 3 Republicans who voted for the stimulus package, which is the biggest spending program in the history of America, which will keep us in debt for the next 50 years, and our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will still be paying off on these debts. And here was a man who always pretended he was concerned about the government and the exact spending and the exact budget. It was such a big principle to him. And if Bush spent $10 more, he would make a big fight out of it. Now all of a sudden, it's trillions of dollars. And he doesn't notice it. He never counted it because he has no conscience. If you're not a Republican, say you're not a Republican. If I'm not a dancer, I don't pretend I am. If I'm a pilot, I don't pretend I'm a shoemaker. If I'm a priest, I don't go around to orgies. If I don't live one way and renounce another. Live by your principles. If you're a Democrat, stay a Democrat. And you should have been a Democrat all your life. And now that you decided you got a principle, the principle is to win an election. And that's your only principle. Because you have no conscience, you never did, and you should stop lying to the American people. Now that you'll become a Democrat, you'll probably be a fraud again, because now you'll be actually behave in a way that doesn't even agree with the Democratic Party, because you don't care what you vote for. You don't have no allegiance to anybody. You have no principles about anything. You do what you please to win the next election, and that's all you live for. You're a fraud and a fake. And give up politics. Lie down for an hour. You're 80 years old. Take a rest.